Aloha, friends and neighbors. Welcome to show 885. Rollin Frost here, Kona astrologer. I'm a little ticked off today. Listen, about 10 days ago you had a eclipse, a solar eclipse at 11 Scorpio. It was very close to Saturn. Saturn is this traditional authority stuff. I guess, let's see, let me just get to the point. I'm really unhappy with the system in this country for several reasons, and here's a couple of the symptoms of what we're up against. Our politicians have spent a year lollygagging around gay marriage. Why, this little minority that wants their sexual habits stuck into the law, I don't believe it. We must look like clowns to the rest of the world, and all these politicians happily go along debating these things. And okay, so what happened to the drug war? What happened to legalizing pot, period? No, they'd rather talk about gay people. My God. La La Land. So our leaders are not very responsible. Why not? What's going on? Another example. They're talking about cutting entitlements and food stamps and things. And incredibly, nobody has ever mentioned the inflated war budget. All the black budget, the NSA. We spend more money on guns, armaments, DOD, than the rest of the world combined. A politician, what, you've never heard one of them even think about, well, we could slash the defense by 30% and everybody'd have free health care. What's going on? Something's going on with these politicians that they're scared. They stay in safe ground. They're very careful. I think even our fashion of electing them, for years I've wondered, how is it that all these elections come out 51-49? How is it that Gore is thrown out over 100 votes in Florida? How come these votes are all so close, 50-50? Would you like Pepsi-Cola or Coca-Cola? Would you like this white bread or that white bread? The very problem of the election is a bad one. It needs review. And the lack of courage that these people have needs review. The first thing you could do is just elect them. You know, the Greeks used to just draft the people of intellect and education and family and property, and they just draft them for a few years and say, you're going into government, and then you can get out. It's like you draft a young man into the army. And then maybe we've had some men of courage. I mean, who's in the army now? When I was in the army, drafted people like me still kept their heads. You couldn't get them to go do terrible things. Look what happened in Vietnam. But now we've got an army of volunteers. They're paid a lot more. What's a volunteer like? And then, of course, we had to add the women. Put the women in the army. Oh, yes. And now we put the gays in there, too. Suicide rate is crazy because we have a failed health system, can't recognize a brain virus like claustrophobia. We have a financial system where we're fighting the banks for our money all the time. You know, we have a political system that's a joke, you know. No wonder we're not changing anything. Some of this stuff has to come crumbling down. I think the eclipse you've had on Saturn in Scorpio, especially some of the black budget stuff that you don't see. It's time to get a look at that stuff and start eliminating some. I'm told they're building a huge NSA thing up here in Pauakaloa on the Big Island. They're going to transfer all those employees from Honolulu, where Snowden worked, over here where they're more isolated. And where's this money coming from, and where's it going to? And okay, use this eclipse to dig into the dark hidden places that are really making a mess out of the American dream. Well, enough. I coughed it all up. Okay, change. Let's go do the sky mirror. Maybe a little astrocartography. Eclipse in Scorpio on Saturn. You might be a little scared. You might be a little depressed. You might be a little ticked off. Good time to get sober and take a real sober look at what's going on around you. Hey, what's happening in the sky mirror? Remember, Sky Mirror Astrology, an app at the at the App Store for your iPhone, and you can get the sky mirror on that phone soon, I think. Anyway, what's important to you in this third week of November 2013? Probably Neptune. If you're on a Thursday show on the 14th, well, on the 13th, yesterday, Neptune stopped. And when Neptune stops, well, you know, it produces a lot of illusion, smoke and mirrors. It also produces a lot of inspiration. To me, you know, it's only been a year or so since I learned that Neptune had to do with actors, people who are kind of phony, like Dr. Priest, artists, musicians. And here he is. And most gays are very Neptune characters, and you know, along with the Pope, the Church, hey, there's a lot of gays there too. Now, all Neptunes aren't gay, but mostly all gays are very Neptune, so they make great actors, huh? Hollywood, okay, anyway, enough of that. You had an eclipse on Saturn, and I think it's a good month to review. You got another 3 weeks of sober reflection on what's going on here. But Neptune clouds things, and it brings up the issues of the gay folks and the, you know, I'd like to bring up the issue of the oil companies and what's going on and how they're doing these ads, you know, to try to convince you it's okay to burn hydrocarbons. It's terrible, and there's a whole cadre of people that think there's lots of oil and that that it's okay to burn the hydrocarbon. It doesn't matter if you're burning gas from fracking or diesel fuel. You know, it's going to liberate the CO2. Get it straight. So we get a bunch of people here in delusion. I just noted that a bunch of people that included CEOs and religious leaders and conservatives in the South have influenced some conservatives to say, okay, let's have an immigration bill. And one of the easiest paths to your citizenship should be if you go into the armed forces. Oh yeah, little Mexican kid, go into the armed forces for 2, 3, 4 years, get good pay, good benefits, and come out a citizen. Well, guess what the next group to go into the DOD is? You know, the saddest thing about their failure to recognize that PTSD is a suicide epidemic, a virus, comes from the dry country, the snake people, is that they're telling all these kids that get it that they're going to have it forever. It's a syndrome. And then they go on to the drugs and they're not, you know, and the rest of their life, oh yeah, I'm a PTSD injury. Truth is, you'll be out of it in, you know, 3, 6, 9 months. But for the drug thing, you can stay with that all your life and get on the dole. I don't like this. I don't like what's going on in our country. Sorry. I think we've got to take a radical turn, or we're going to hurt the world a lot. And so, like, when you got trouble with drugs, your TV set's full of the lawyers saying, call me, you had a bad drug. Another guy, sell me, here, take this drug for your pimples. And there's a list of 20 side effects. Call your doctor. What's going on? You know, at the same time, pot's illegal, one of the best drugs around. And opium. It's crazy. Craziness of Neptune, huh? Well, that goes further than you think, but I won't get into it right now. Let's get practical. We're going to run the moon around the edge of the planetary pattern here, see what it's like. You're watching the show on Thursday, the moon's in Aries. Yesterday, day before, it was pretty electric, wasn't it? Wednesday, Thursdays now. On Friday, likely you get up in the morning, the moon's in Taurus, and there's a nice sextile to Neptune. And, this could be rainbows and Jesus angel visitations. And Neptune at his best, the moon's in sextile to it. Sensitivity, compassion is what Neptune does. I'm a great follower of Jesus. He's pure Neptune. Well, in a lot of ways. The Pope usually speaks out when Neptune stops. Did he talk yesterday? Anyway, you'll have a nice Friday morning with Neptune. The trouble is, right away, within an hour or two after the elation and the, oh, now I see it clearly, I'm not confused anymore stuff, here comes Mercury. There's an opposition to Mercury, and there's noise, and there's kids, and the phone rings, and I gotta go, and so this beautiful moment when the water goes completely calm and turns into a mirror could be here Friday morning. I'd get up early. But Mercury, the wind, will come along and mess it up. Friday night is unusual. There's a trine to Venus and Pluto. Friday, yes, the 15th. Now, Venus on Pluto means the sex systems are really gone to extremes. Yes. And all the girls will be, all the young divas will be out there dressing like Pluto people, like hookers and things. And so you got to watch yourself a little bit Friday night. This is, don't push Venus too far with this. Saturday morning, you could be sorry because here's the opposition to Saturn, and you lost your money and can't find your car, and you got a terrible headache, and that's all happening here. It's about breakfast time. By lunchtime, there's a trine to Mars, and the heroes are out, and by dinner time, here's a sextile to Jupiter, and people are laughing, and there's a nice Jupiter moon thing coming up. Here's this full moon that's going to happen Saturday night. And this full moon is unusual. It's at 25 degrees of Taurus, late Saturday night, early Sunday morning, because it trines Mars and it sextiles Jupiter. And this is time for heroes to come out and fix things and do things. And, Mars especially I'm fond of, and Mars is those soldiers. I mean, those guys in the military are taking a beating. So, anyway, this full moon might help them a little bit. Maybe I'll send my PTSD letters around again. I get nice, polite things back, but you never know. You can catch the right person. So this is a full moon, Saturday night. And some people are going to go too fast and be too exuberant and overdo it. And so it's a safety hazard Saturday night. Yeah, and the square to Neptune means they're drinking too much. And this Sunday on the 17th, the music's too loud, and there's bad smells, and Neptune is not working very well. Now remember, he just stopped for you yesterday on the 13th. So here we're only 4 days off the station. About 20 days you'll have smoke and mirrors and problems with liquids and floods. Okay, yes, I'll get at that a little later, but this is a water problem. Yeah, remember what the pros say. They said, hide from wind, run from water. Well,